Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open Source Friday. This is a Twitch stream that I do weekly, every Friday, talking to different open source maintainers or core contributors about the projects that are out there. The main reason is so we can get exposure to all of the open source projects, figure out how we can contribute, and then also gain inspiration for creating our own open source projects. I see a lot of people in the chat.
Absolutely.
So it's great, right? Yeah, definitely feel free to say where y'all are tuning in from. I see familiar and new faces, so definitely let us know. And then also, I wanted to have our friend, or my friend today, and the guest today, introduce themselves. Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Reese. Thanks for having me in the show. I'm seeing hundreds of comments like flowing in the chat.
I know, right?
So if I introduce myself, it's my third time in the show and the fourth time we are doing a security edition of the Open Source Friday. My name is Joseph. I'm part of the GitHub Security Lab, and welcome everybody to a security edition of Open Source Friday. This time is about the game, the QR code game.
Yes, I'm excited to learn more about it. I think a lot of people are tuning in, especially because the idea of having a game around security. I'll highlight where some people are from. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your background too, just a little bit before we dive into the game? Like, who are you? How did you get into security and GitHub? But I'll just highlight some comments while you're speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we see people from all around the world. There are someone from Madrid, someone from Berlin, someone from Pittsburgh. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends where you're from. Thanks again for tuning in. So a bit about me. I am a developer at heart, like everybody watching this show today, that I had a strong passion for cybersecurity. So I've studied both of them, first starting with a degree on software engineering, then switching to cybersecurity through a master's, and all my career, which is now around 4 years. I'm working for GitHub Security Lab for the past almost 2 years. I joined in a similar time to Riza here.
Yeah.
And since then, we are focused on open source security. For those who are not so familiar with how much impact open source has, if you are driving a car, if you have a fridge next to you, if you have a phone, everything, the whole world runs on open source. We are the people who host this code, and my team is a team that secures it, finds vulnerabilities in it. So far, we found around 400 in the past almost 3 years, which is one bug every 3 days. The numbers are crazy. We are talking about 0 days. And lately, I have created a lot of education material, a lot of presentations, touching a bit on AI, but let's leave that for the later aspect of the show. So that's pretty much my background, Riz.
Wow, that's awesome. And yeah, you're right. We did start around the same time. Okay, so you've been doing a lot of projects around security, and one of them that you want to show us today is the code game. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is and then
Mhm.
why you made it?
For sure. So as a developer at heart, like I've said in the beginning in my intro, I feel this need about security that was missing. Like when I was at uni or when I was learning code online, you can learn a lot about functionality. Like, for example, here's how you can create an input form. You are focused on getting the parameters in from the outside world, but nobody was really focused at that time, and maybe still today, on securing that. And this is a mindset that is usually moving towards the rest of things we do. So I felt this need speaking with people around the world during the presentations, and getting the question was like, how I'm gonna learn security? How shall I do it? This was just the initial like spark for the fire, but then I've seen a lot of like attempts that were not so developer first. For example, you move people somewhere else in an environment that is not so friendly to them, and then have them choose one of a BCD options. I wanted to get the requirements the way that I felt are near to developers. So I wanted to create a game because I believe that everything gamified has more fun at the end of the day. And then we can see that developer first comes from having developers being at their natural place, which is the code editor, the text editor. So far, two requirements, all of them met. The third one is a security requirement, which some people that are watching us today, and thanks again, by the way, for the hundreds of comments flowing. I see people from Brazil, India, Ukraine. The third is that if someone spots a problem in the code, it's just half the story. Fixing it correctly is the other half. I've seen so many developers fixing something, but fixing it unsuccessfully, creating new problems and bringing in new attacks. So these three reasons were my main inspiration, and all this contributed to creating the secure code game.
That makes a lot of sense. I also appreciate the fact that you're like, you wanted to make it developer focused because I do think that's a good point. Sometimes when I've been like, I want to learn security, I'm dropped into this really weird looking, well, it's not weird, but environment that I'm not familiar with. So I'm like, what is this? And then I end up leaving. And I think it's great to actually gamify things because that's like a nice way to learn without even really feeling like you're learning. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I would love, if you're okay with it, I would love to like see this a demo or something like that of this project live so that we can get used to trying it out. And then also for people, so feel free to share your screen. And while you're sharing, I'll talk to people. For people who are curious of like following along or trying it out, I have the link on the screen here. It's gh.io/secure code game. Unfortunately, I can't put the link in the chat because it'll just because of security measures. Yeah. Feel free to share your screen. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'll go on, share my screen.
Yeah.
And in the chat, feel free to ask questions that we are going to answer at the end of it. Again, your contribution today in the chat is just make me like, I don't know, it's the first time I see so many people. Hello to France, Nigeria, Malaysia. The comments are out of control. Literally, maybe we are on the 500s of comments so far. Okay, I'll go and share my screen. Let's take it step by step.
Okay.
And we have some very nice announcements for you at the end. So stay here with us till the end.
Cool.
I'm sharing my entire screen. Okay. So can you check, Reese, can you see my screen?
Yeah, it looks perfect.
Okay. So right now, I'm in a website that is called GitHub Skills, which you can find at skills.github.com. In this website, there are free courses. I repeat, free courses that you can learn a lot of things around GitHub. For example, you can get started with GitHub, Markdown, Pages, and then you have different categories, like, for example, first week, actions, etc. Arriving at the end to the secure code game, which is the second most popular course of the GitHub skills in just the past 3.5, 4 months. If I click on here, we have a repo. So this is the game, basically. It's a repo. And this was the first requirement, to give you something that is closer to you, which is being in a GitHub repo. Okay, what you have to do is super simple. Before showing the rest of things, it says here, to start the course, you just click on the right click here, and then open link in new tab, arriving in here. So this is asking me to give a name to this repo, and of course it's gonna be under my name. To save us a bit of time, it takes around one or two moments to come up. So you can see here, you see my profile at GitHub, and then the forked version of the game. So when I open it, when I fork it,
actually, sorry to interrupt you. Jess actually just mentioned, can you zoom in just a little bit
Sure.
for us watching on small screens? Thanks,
Sure.
Jess. And then, yeah. And someone also asked, is this going to be available later? Yes, it is. It's going to be available on LinkedIn and YouTube. You can continue to watch it if you wanted to. Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
Please go on. Let's answer the questions on the go if they are relevant to what we are talking about. So once I'm here, I can just run these natively in code spaces. I have one open for you. It's just taking 2 minutes to run on the background, install all the requirements. You just don't have to install anything on your computer. But if you so wish, we have a guide how to set it up, either with code spaces or with a local installation. Just before I dive into the game, this was built for developers and students. You are gonna see vulnerable patterns of real world code, that it's not enough to just spot them, you have to fix them. And you are gonna assess your solutions against my and my team's exploits. So this is the code space. That's how it opens in 2 minutes from the moment you open in a code space. Okay, here's the README file, but we can close this so we are focused. Okay, the first season of the game consists of 5 levels. These levels are having increasing difficulty. Level 1 is the easiest, and slowly as we progress, we can reach level 5. I don't have an exact answer of how much it takes from level 1 to reach level 5. It depends on you, on your background. I will encourage everybody to start with level 1 and slowly progress their way. Okay, let me delete that one, the PyCache. Okay, so every level is consisted of the same 5 files. You have the code file, which is the file where the functional but vulnerable code is running. In every level, you do the same thing. You read the code, trying to spot the bug. You try to fix the bug, but making sure that the code is still functional. Because remember, the code is working perfectly. There's a file that is running an exploit, which is called the hack file. Right now, if you run the hack file, you fail it because the code is vulnerable. But the game is all about fixing the code, and when you run the hack file, you should pass it. When you pass the hack file, you can move to the next level. However, to progress to the next level, you need to make sure that both the functionality tests are passing and also the hack is not any more successful. It's the best of two worlds. Some people can spot a mistake in this code, fix it. The code can be functional, but maybe there's an edge case that they didn't notice, so the exploit is still running successfully. So they cannot really progress to level 2. For people to progress, they should make sure that the code is doing the same things as before, so it's achieving the same business requirements, but it's also secure. Riz, how does that sound so far?
It makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to be honest. I can't spot the bug. I don't know what it is. Would it be okay if we play level 1 together or see how it is? Or would that be
right.
Okay.
Well, on the other hand, I don't want to spoil it for a lot of our audiences. So let's go slowly together, okay?
Yeah.
Here we have Python code. Every level has its own little story behind. So it might be useful if we read the story behind the level 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Level 1 is called Black Friday, which is that day around November that things are getting massively discounted. And the storyline has as follows. There is this shopping event on Black Friday. There is this electronics shop. Think about an electronics shop that you can buy like a PlayStation or a phone or any device. However, this shop didn't have an online presence, and they wanted to benefit from the e-commerce side of things. So if I have a website, people can order something on the other side of the country, and I can make a lot of sales. So these people had a very specific budget, and they gave it all towards having an e-commerce without really spending anything on security. So here you see the backend of a very small thing of what's running behind the scenes. So you can have an order ID, and items. You can also have, for every item here, for example, items can be 10 items, okay? But every single item is gonna be an individual item with its own type, description, monetary value, and how much of that they need. And here's a very small amount of code, around 15 lines, that is trying to, first of all, handle the payment behind the scenes, okay? So the calculation of the payment is like, as people buy things and there's an outstanding amount, you keep adding the total into the outstanding amount. And if they pay, you make sure that you reduce that from the outstanding amount by multiplying, of course, how many dollars every item costs multiplied by the amount. If there is something wrong with it, return the invalid type. And at the end, make sure that you give back to the screen if there is a payment imbalance, therefore the customer still owes money, or if the shop has received the full payment. I know it sounds super easy, and many people get a bit like, oh, why I can't spot this in the first 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes? The reason that you can't spot it in the first 1, 2, or 3 minutes is because these levels are not so easy or so straightforward. The code is functional. If you go to a shop, you can actually buy a television or a PlayStation through that. We are just put very, very small security details that hackers can go away with free TVs or free PlayStations just by running this code. The mistake is very subtle, and that's the idea. It's not so easy to spot. And once people spend a bit of time with it, they can read the tests, they can understand what we try to achieve as business requirements, like, for example, have a valid payment, detect successfully when some item is not fully paid, When there's a reimbursement, make sure you handle it. But then they can have a look at the exploit, how a hacker can pass something and go away with it. And I don't want to keep this file a lot of time in the screen because we have hints. And people who want a bit more help, including myself, because I've built this having in mind that security should teaching you something. And I have people texting me or like commenting on social media how much they learn even from level 1, that it's not so easy to spot, but is one of the easiest levels we have. So what I want to say, Riz, is that even if you need the hint, like many people do, like 99% of people read the hint, just go slowly, try to understand what's the problem here, read the model solution that we literally have in a lot of detail with a lot of references. And if you don't manage to solve a level, like for example, level 2 is not so easy for you, you can go to level 3. Every level is independent. Every level has a different vulnerability. Naturally, people might be better at something specific. So what I would like to highlight today is that go for it. You have a lot to learn, and you can understand how subtle is security. Security mistakes sometimes are easy to spot, sometimes are not so easy to spot, and that's the magic behind it. I had a hard time finding this bug, and that's why I included it in the game as a level 1, because for me it was the biggest shock. So I might overhyped it, but this is what it is, and I would love to know your opinion. Feel free to post about it, or create and contribute into the discussions we have here in the game. Riz?
This is so exciting and so cool. We have a lot of comments, a lot of positive ones that I just wanted to highlight and show you. Someone said this is subtly excellent. I love that. Wait, I will remove your screen just for a moment. Someone said this is subtly excellent. People are saying amazing to learn, great stuff. I already want to start. Samuel Bang asks, where can I find this repo? Just to show you again, it's gh.io/secure code game. I think someone also answered you and gave you the long form URL. I think someone kind of gave us a little bit of a hint. They said, just notice that they can buy things without paying because the net can be negative.
You are very close. Let's say that you are on the right track.
Ooh. Another person said this looks amazing, and I think in response to it being Black Friday, they said, why not Cyber Monday?
Very good, very good. I didn't think about that at the time. So yeah, very good comment. I loved it.
Yeah, and then one last comment was, gamifying a problem statement is always a good way to build a winning mindset while completing the purpose. I actually have a question. So you said you had a hard time solving some of these. Is this like problems you've seen in the real world that you experience, and then you're like, let me put this into the game?
Yes and no. So
Okay.
I've built this game from scratch.
Okay.
I've written every single line of code there. I've made it after research, and the research is we chose 2 programming languages to start the first season of the game, which is Python and C.
Okay.
The first level is in Python, the second level is in C, and the rest of 3 levels, level 3, 4, and 5, are in Python. Before going to have new programming languages requirements or suggestions in the chat, I would love to tell you that we have new languages coming in the new season, but before dropping the big news, I would love to mention the reason behind it, which is I thought, what is publicly available about Python, but what do people don't know? Or what is a shocking thing to know about Python that not so many people know?
Okay.
Same for the level 3, level 4, level 5. I wanted to show, WASP top 10, some things that people can get a bit of broader and deeper understanding. Level 5 is about crypto. Level 4 is about some, let's say, path related stuff. Level 3 is a very classic SQL injection related material. But level 1 and level 2 is, I believe that they should still know. So I took things that it wasn't so clear on my 10-year developer journey, and I wanted to put them there for everybody to know.
Yeah, I love that. There's another question here that says, is it possible to execute code in a GitHub code space? Could
Yeah.
we quickly just show them that by
Yeah,
any chance?
absolutely. So let me reshare my screen.
Okay.
And I see a very nice comment from Void, who went through
Yeah, I
the
see it
system.
too.
I totally agree with that comment. I just want to keep things super simple and focus on the, let's say, the nature, the root of the problem. So I totally agree with you that you can solve it in a different way. But if you follow the model solution, you will understand that our approach is not float versus integers. We are trying to show something like, where do numbers end? Let's give this kind of hint. And yeah, let's execute some code together now
Yeah.
on the code spaces. So for the sake of argument, let's say that I want to run the tests. So I can come in the tests and click run Python file in terminal, which makes the tests to pass. So this is a form of code execution. If you want, you can run the hack file, which is here. So for example, by clicking right click and then run Python file in terminal. Or
I'm hiding it. Hold on. Try that again. Sorry, the banner for the link was hiding.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There are two ways to execute code inside a code space. You can either click right click and then run Python file in terminal, which is the last option in the menu. And the other way is to click this play button here at the top right. So when I run the hack file, we see that we have some failures. So I'm still not able to progress to the next level because I am failing the first one. And just because I might scare you a bit about level 1, and when I open the code, it might be not so easy for you. You can see level 5. It's not a lot of code.
Oh, yeah.
It's just 50 lines, exactly. But level 3, for the people who love, level 4, for the people who love longer code bases, we have a longer code with multiple mistakes here in code. And again, you can learn multiple things. And just to help you out, I want to show you another cool thing we've done, which is the following. So I want to go to my repo just to show you again how you might get help. So you can see here in my repo, this security tab here. With
yeah.
13, which is a lucky number for the secure code game. For levels 3, 4, and 5, you can check the code scanning alerts that they tell you actually in which line is the problem, and you can see what is the problem. You can click if you want, and by clicking, you can see an explanation about it with URLs, so you can read more about it outside in Mitre, which is a collection of security vulnerabilities with examples. And you are kind of inside a PR for those who feel like, let's say, in their more natural environment here with explanations, recommendations, etc. This means that you can read what is here. You can go to the specific line that there's a problem. You can fix it. You can push your solution, and you can come back and check what is the number here in the security. If you now dropped, for example, to 12, you know that you have fixed something. And here you see that in level 4, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 problems that are smaller problems to fix. Once you fix all of them and the official hack file is failing, is passing. So you are passing the hack file. You are also passing the tests, again, by running with this button or by the button here at the top, you can proceed to the next level. So we give you two ways to help you: by seeing the total number of alerts and by slowly getting guided through the hints we have at every level for you. You see the hints are including code, explanations, sometimes references, and so do the solutions. Like you see lengthy solutions with a lot of explanations, a lot of references. And after that, I strongly believe that you are going to be someone who is more aware about some cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So you are going to be writing more quality code.
I love that. First off, I learned a couple things from you. Even I've never clicked the run in Python in terminal file before, a button. I usually just type it in the terminal. So
Oh
I
yeah, I remember.
um and that was actually a question I was going to ask you, is what will people take away from the security game? And I guess it is to write code with less vulnerabilities in the future. There's a couple of, I guess Void had more comments, and just maybe, I guess, feedback and suggestions. And I think this could also help us lead into how can people contribute and what can they contribute? Because a lot of people are also commenting, can we have this in TypeScript and Java? I know you just said that different languages are coming out, but I'll also just mention what Void said. He said maybe in the instructions, make sure users put the monetary values with the decimal point. Otherwise, if they specify both the price and quantity as integers, the solution may not work.
Totally agree. And Void can send a PR. So we welcome PRs to fix bugs, of course, to improve the current version of the game. And as you asked, Riz, we are also welcoming contributions for the upcoming season of the game.
Okay.
We have the contributing.md file that you can find the URL at the top of the game, with instructions on what kind of languages we are heading towards and what kind of security vulnerabilities. So far, we had 2 contributors providing new levels of the game, and we have space for more contributions. So I would like to welcome you to open a discussion following the instructions we have. More people can cooperate towards one level of the game. It's a way for you to get credit. It's a way for you to contribute into the open source security by creating content. You let more people play what you have created, which is very fulfilling. And you give more people the chance to try some amazing products of GitHub for free, that they are free for open source. Like, for example, CodeQL is free for open source, which is how we spot the security bugs. Code Spaces, you have 60 hours for free every month. And of course, you can use maybe the power of AI to get some suggestions or spot some mistakes here and there in the game. I've seen some people getting some extra hints from Copilot. Who knows? Maybe you have this security developer AI integration through the game, and you are in a safe environment that you can try out.
I love that. That's so cool. So definitely contribute, y'all. Go to gh.io/secure code game. Just to respond to a couple of comments, I think this user might have missed when we showed the executing the coding in GitHub Codespace. But just go ahead and rewind the video, and then you will be able to see when we did that. We showed how to do that. Someone said, thank you for this talk. I truly appreciate it. Share the repo. Again, it is gh.io secure code game. And someone said this might be one of the most enjoyable ways to learn security. So, like, hats off to you. I love it.
By the way, we have just reached 1K stars.
Wow.
And the numbers show that 1,200 people have played the game so far in the past almost 4 months. So thanks for your support. Thanks for your love. And again, feel free to contribute. Feel free to join the wave of gamified security. And let's be all part of the same community, the community of the GitHub Security Lab.
Yeah, this is so exciting. Congrats at reaching that. Oh, I also forgot to say, I didn't even realize that security tab and how to read the vulnerabilities. Just having you walk through that, that made way more sense to me. Um, I do have a couple more questions for you. And some of the questions are, let's say someone here does want to learn the or want to go through the secure code game, and we're not at the next season yet with the different languages, but they don't know whatever language it's written in, or they don't have the prerequisites. Do you have any suggestions for getting those prereqs before jumping into the game?
For sure, I might be a bit biased because the GitHub Security Lab produces some content that is developer first. I will say do follow us at GH Security Lab in Twitter. If you are following GitHub in the rest of social media, you'll see a lot of educational content that is directed to developers, and it's about security. Our content is developer first, so we are thinking with you in mind. So this is free and is also developer first. So I will say that's an amazing first step to do. In terms of other resources, if I want to be a bit more objective, there are, of course, hundreds of free other resources online.
Yeah.
I haven't really spent time on those for the past 3-4 years, so I might not be super up to date with those ways. But if you know a website that is free or paid or whatever, and you are happy about the quality of learning, let's say JavaScript from there, do get started with security. And if you follow the right pages like the GitHub Security Lab at GH Security Lab, you'll see more news about security. The GitHub blog is also a great resource, and you'll get updated. You are going to put the dots together.
Awesome. And I see a question here, which is actually a question I was going to ask, is like on the note of contributing more levels, should each level be incrementally harder than the other? Like, any suggestions for contributing new levels?
I will say that maybe Ahmed, first of all, great question. I will say do contribute, do make sure that you read the previous pull requests so you understand what other people have contributed already. And that's not a problem. I wouldn't tell you to create something that is for a level 4 or a level 5. Let's make a discussion about it in GitHub discussions, understand what you want to contribute, how you can help there, and leave it on us to decide if it's a good level 2, level 1, level 3.
Okay, perfect. So y'all will decide where it will be in the levels. And you said a new season. How many seasons is this game going to have? This is so cool.
Depends on the contributions, no? So if we have a lot of contributions, we can have more and more seasons. The next season, the goal is to have 5 levels, like the first season. But the first level of the second season should be at the same difficulty as level 1, because it's different languages, different vulnerabilities. It's not a level 6. It's a level 1 in a new season. I'm relying on a lot of our open source contributors today that they want to contribute to open source. That's a way to help. And also, I would like to mention that yesterday there was a Canadian physical security company called Swift Connect that they created a hackathon out of the secure code game. So this shows us that gamified security can help people to learn more about security and feel that they are challenged in a nice way.
That's so exciting. Yeah, that is really exciting that they were able to build a hackathon around this. Great idea for other people to do as well. I love the excitement that I'm seeing in the chat. Samuel asked, are there any languages that levels shouldn't be developed in, or go for it?
We welcome every language. However, we have some preferences. Let's say that you have more chances for your contribution to end up publicly available. We do have some preference for JavaScript, Java, and C# for this season, so that we complete the matrix of the most popular languages in open source. by adding into Python and C of our first season.
Awesome, awesome. I have a like a question for you. I guess not necessarily related to the game, but still towards security. And I'll still look at the chat. But I'm just curious, like, why do you think that security ends up getting like overlooked during the development phase?
I think that sometimes that's a $1 million question. Well, I ended up thinking that maybe the reason is because writing functional code is about forward looking. You build great features that you progress something, while security is kind of retrospectively looking and you try to fix backwards. You can't really fix forward because that thing you want to fix doesn't exist. Maybe that's the reason. But in the same way, developers see an art in creating and building and conceptualize something. I personally see an art in finding a problem in something and exploiting it. But
Yeah.
again, we are developer first. We want to make sure that our approach is how do you have security in as a mindset from the beginning.
Yeah, awesome. We have another comment that said they love the hints and solution explanations that you provided. Super helpful. I love the fact that that's added as well, so people don't get lost. And then, do you have any like little tips that people that individuals can do to improve security in their applications as they like code? What are things they can start thinking about?
Yeah, so what I can start thinking about is that just visit the security tab in your GitHub repo. You have some pointers there, like for example, having a security policy if you are maintaining a project. For sure, my number one thing is to turn on the code scanning, which is CodeQL supported. CodeQL is our like industry leading solution to find vulnerabilities using static code analysis. This way, every time you push, you are going to have an alert in the same way I've shown you about it, and you can just go and fix it. So that's very helpful and is free for open source. Another quick win I can think about is that always think what can go wrong. If you are having, for example, an input field that is asking for a name and a surname, you might be very innocent if you think that every person around the world that has access to internet is going to add their name and their surname. People might try to add other things and try to understand your security, the security of the application. And the final tip is that try not to reinvent the wheel. Security is not a problem that started today. There are solutions to known problems. If you are using a library, maybe that library has some functions that are secure by default and you have to specifically opt out for security. Try to use known community, community approved solutions.
Gotcha. Okay, that's so true actually, because there's going to be problems that people have seen time and time again. There's already solutions to them. Why create a new solution? That's so true. And then there's a lot of people in the chat that I think that and that play the game that are really excited to start their careers within security. Do you have any tips for or advice for people looking to focus their career on security?
Security is a very big field. You can start doing vulnerability research or forensics or be a pen tester or doing risk or SecOps, or you can be on the education aspect of it. So first, understand what is your passion exactly in security out of these specific fields. Try to stay up to date with security, which is difficult, and always try to have a technical balance and theory balance. You have to understand things in depth in order to exploit them, in order to understand what can go wrong. Read great resources. Again, GitHub Security Lab with so much great research about it, world class. And at the end of the day, it's the same advice in every field. if you do security or if you are doing art, if you are passionate about it, there's always a way.
That is really, really great advice, I will say. Reading and just understanding how vast the field is as well. A lot of times people are like, oh, I want to get into engineering or DevRel or whatever. I'm like, there are so many different little sectors that it's good to understand all of the different like areas in here.
By the way, am I right thinking that we have thousands of comments today? Like, I can't believe the number of comments, and thanks so much for your love and your support. We would love to hear more from you in the upcoming days about the Secure Code game or your ideas around security. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we have more. Stay here.
Yeah. I'm loving the comments. I love doing Open Source Friday because everyone gets really engaged. But I'm very like impressed at how many people are interested in security and learning more about security. My maybe my last couple of questions to you are I'm just curious from a personal standpoint about like your strategy around building the curriculum for the game and yeah.
So it was an idea of my manager, Xavier. He always thought that if security is gamified and if users and players can have this cadence of seeing an alert and fixing an alert, it's gonna be nearer to them. Then it was all about how do we do this? How can we execute something that is nearer to them? It can be interesting with exploits, but also freedom. There is no one correct solution. There are thousands of correct solutions. For example, Void offered 2 different solutions, and there are dozens or hundreds of others. That's how we built it. And the future is all about keeping up with new seasons, trying to make sure that there's a community impact towards that.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, so I think we kind of covered most of the things, like why we built it. We got to see a demo. People are interested. They've seen the link, your strategy, how people can navigate their security careers. Before I move into like some of the fun questions, are there any things that you wanted to either bring up that I didn't get a chance to bring up, or you wanted to emphasize?
I will say that I think we covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover today. I will say that in the beginning, when we released this, it was an experiment because you never know if people are going to be interested in security. It's really hard to get the attention of developers for security. But the biggest lesson learned is that maybe there is need for security education. There is a need for people to learn security the way that it's not hurting their feelings. I've seen security being a way to make people feel a bit of less or not so capable of what they do. In the same way that if I ask someone to spot the mistake in level 1, maybe if they don't spot it in the first 5 minutes, they feel that they are not good technologists or good developers. There's something like that in security. So the biggest lesson for me is that everybody's different. Everybody's great at different things. Everybody learns at their own pace. For example, I'm someone who learns in a visual manner. And if I learn something that I'm not interested at, or I don't really like the delivery of it, I just get turned off straight away. So that was something that it was a very big lesson. So try the game, try to understand if you like security, if you don't like security, or what you don't like is the way that security was taught or provided to you in the past. From there, take it easy. Don't get intimidated if you feel that it's harder than your abilities. Everybody's different. Thanks so much for your comments. I'm reading the chat at the same time. Take it slow. If someone can solve this in, I don't know, 5 hours, maybe they cheat. So take it slow. Everybody learns differently. And trust me, I have a hard time and I take a lot of things slow in my life. in all other areas.
I love that you brought that up because I do think it can be security can be intimidating, and there could be people that are watching that are like, oh, they're able to do this because they're on a Twitch stream. But I agree with you. Same. It takes me sometimes to like learn a lot of technical things. I have to take my time and read and try things out. I'm more of a hands-on learner. If I didn't do it myself, it's hard for me to grasp it. So I do love that you brought that up. I have a message here from Jess saying 100% making security fun is a great way to remove blocks in the learning process. Okay, so I'm gonna move to some of the fun questions that I normally ask guests. They have nothing to do with open source or anything. It's just fun to talk about. And my first question, well, I guess a little bit technical, but my first question is, what is the first programming language you learned?
Okay, there's gonna be like a snowball effect, like an avalanche in the comments right now. People are gonna get a bit like, I don't know. Okay, the first programming language that I was forced to learn, okay, it wasn't my choice. It was the choice of the curriculum of the course that I started, and I had to do it for 3 months. It's a functional language. It starts from H. Let's give 15 seconds in the chat to see how many will guess it right. So we are talking about a programming language that starts with the letter H. Yeah, a lot of disclaimers.
Guess.
Haskell, yes.
Oh, I see. Yup, Haskell.
Yeah, 3 correct answers. Yes, it's Haskell. So I was forced to learn Haskell as the first programming language because the person who was teaching that was one of the 5 inventors of Haskell.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Tonyfield. Hi to Tonyfield if he ever watches Open Source Friday. Then I was moved to one of the creators or the people behind Java Core, which is Greek lady called Sophia that many people are thanking in the Java 8 books. So Haskell, Java, Python, and it goes on and on.
Wow, you learned from a lot of great people. That's amazing.
What about you, Riz?
That's a good question. So technically, I don't know if these are really considered programming languages. I learned SQL first because I was like, I want to learn to code, and I didn't really know what coding was. So I just started learning SQL, and I was like, how does this build a website? I don't get it. And then after that, I learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But yeah, that's what I learned first. Next question for you. If money wasn't an issue, how would you ideally spend your time? Whether it's job wise or not job wise?
To be honest, I will still be in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Doing the exact same thing right now. I mean, I love life here. I would love to be in the same team. So super happy with that. What about you?
You know what? No one's ever asked me. I don't know.
I give you the questions back because it's very cheeky if you just ask the people coming in the show. So moving from like the technical things straight away into what did you eat like before coming in the show? Like what's your last text message? And the other questions I had to answer last time I was in the show with Zab and Metasploit, and so it's not so fair. So I return the question.
I have to. Okay, I got to get prepared before I ask you the next question. Other people are saying what they learned. Someone said just said they started with C and Java at the same time because college professors made them. SQL is fine. Someone said Q Basic or Fortran. This is awesome. I love it. Okay, Mern Stack. Okay, cool. So I gotta get prepared to answer this question before. But my next question to you is, what did you learn today? And the reason I asked that is because I had Simon Willison on the show, and like that was one of the things he brought up, like the things that he learns each day. Like he tries to learn one thing, even if it's not technical. So I decided to ask people that.
Okay, what did I learn today? Super unrelated. Okay, so yesterday, I'm gonna come to today. Just give me a moment. So yesterday I went for a run and my feet didn't fit great at all. So I realized that I need to change my running shoes. And I did some research last night about like latest trends in running shoes and technology and stuff like that. Because the past time I got running shoes, it was like 3 years ago. So I have a brand that I love. I can't really mention it live because it's kind of advertisement for free. Okay, that brand doesn't need advertisement, but let's say that I learned today that there's another brand with more improved technology that cushioning is very important for my running style. So I went somewhere in London. I'm based in London, near central London, that they simulated my running technique. And they told me if I'm like touching my feet a bit more forward than backwards. So I decided based on that. So I learned that how you run influences what shoes you are wearing. Thank you. What about you?
Interesting. That is so cool to learn. Okay, there's not much that happened today besides me doing Open Source Friday. So I don't know if this is a cop out, but I still just learned that you can right click on a file and do run Python file in terminal. So someone said, is it just shoes when you can just do it?
Let's say that it was one of the research brands I've done, but I don't want to disclose if I have the simulation there or not.
I love it. Okay, next question for you. How do you pronounce the word GIF? Do you say GIF or GIF?
Okay, so my logic is that, a gift like a present is pronounced gift, and the word, for example, geek, Geek, is still geek. So based on that, let's say that GIF is gift without the T at the end. So I don't know, I've heard different things. What do you think, Riz? Or what do people think? It's soft T, soft G, or hard G?
So far, when I've had people come on the show, most people say GIF, but I say GIF. I don't know why. I just say GIF because that's what I thought it was, and I've continued to keep saying that. All right. And then my last question to you, and it's okay if you don't have the answer to this. Oh, Javier said, "Ha ha ha," as if English pronunciation is logical. True. um, my last question is, what's your favorite Beyonce song?
It's like hello, hello, hello.
Is it the ballad when she says, "I can see your halo"? That one?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
I like the melody and
Yeah.
the fact that I believe that this song is about like having like high guards because of past experiences, while in the future there's someone that you can drop the guards. So it's maybe a lesson learned for everybody. Again, level 1 secure code game. If you feel the guard is very high, like Beyonce's hello, 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 just remember that you can drop it in level 2, level 3, etc. And yes, I don't let me sing as you see in the comments, but I think the last time in the show it was like who run the world, girls. So,
yeah,
exactly. Please, what about you? Let's do like a sing along to end the Open Source Friday today.
Okay, I love it. So dang, I have a lot of favorite Beyonce songs. Right now, I like "Cuff It" from her new album, Renaissance. But I don't think I should sing it.
Before this goes live on YouTube and stay there forever, let's just cut the final singing bit and upload at the end. Okay, so let's do it.
I'm not. I'm good. We can sing Halo. I'm just kidding. But yeah. Oh, someone says surfboard. Yeah, I like that song too, where she goes surfboard. But I'm too lazy to edit things. So but this was really, really great. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Joseph, for coming on, chatting about the secure code game. Thank you so much for even just creating it. Because I think this was really like a good thing that developers needed. Clearly it was, because a lot of people tuned in. A lot of people wanted to learn about security. I also want to thank like a lot of the people in the comments. Just thank you for watching. Thank you for being very engaging. I had a lot of fun, and I always do every Open Source Friday.
Thanks so much for having me in the show, and thanks again to the response, the engagement today. The flow of the comments was so fast. I couldn't really get up with it in the beginning of the show. Your response is making me emotional. This is one of my favorite times in the show. And thanks again, Reese, for the invitation. And everybody, wherever you are in the world. Today we are united by Gamifying Security.
Yes, love it. And yes, don't forget, y'all, if you wanted to check it out, gh.io/secure code game. All right, bye everyone.